Hello, everyone. That beautiful piece of, I'm sorry, just hearing the sounds of the hall again has really affected me. Uh, the tune and the dance are Dance With Me. The composer is Ruth Valencia. The choreographer is Rebecca Valencia. I'm so sorry. Uh, the band is the Ladies at Play. The musicians are Kathy Dagg, Miranda Arana, Shonda McDonald, Martha Edwards. The source is It's a Live recording from Culver City English Country Dance, played to the present fall practice in 2017. That's our part of the world. I am Darlene Hamilton, and we are the Historical Tea and Dance Society. On our team, we have Lindsay Verbal assisting with the program. She is our media goddess, handling all things in the background that help this program and our attendee questions. We have Reed Wilson monitoring Zoom for questions and posting. And we have Larry Hansen monitoring Facebook Live chat for questions and posting. We invite you to post your questions in the chat boxes on both platforms, and we will get to as many as possible either during this web chat or in the after talk. Stick around for that after talk. I'm sorry, that's the first time this happened. Stick around for the after talk posted on our Historical Tea and Dance Society Friends page or in the email when you registered. And thank you to Karen Axelrod and friends for our beloved In the Moment concert that has kept us sane all this year. Tuesday night on Facebook. We look forward to catching the last one and also being able to watch those reruns on that Houston website. Thank you. I always forget who does that, but thank you for doing that. Let me jump right into a bio and get off as soon as possible. Bob Green started dancing at the Pasadena Folk Dance Co-op in the late 1950s. In the 1990s, he enthusiastically added contra to his repertoire, quickly followed by English country dance. Bob calls both ECD and contra and teaches workshops in waltz, polka, schottisch, hambo, and zweifache. And you all know I'm terrible at pronunciation, but let's hope I got somewhere close to that. Bob is a prolific choreographer of country dances with over 40 to his credit, and his credits have included the dances Jack Sparrow, Mr. Maggot's Beverage, Trip to Harlem, Trip to Cincinnati, and Waves of Grain, a favorite around here, to a beautiful tune written by his violinist wife, Martha Edwards. Bob is also the editor of the wonderful online childgrove.org dance video archive. Please welcome Bob Green. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're so happy to have you.
So great to be here.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to start off talking about community. And first of all, thinking how terrifying it was when we realized we had a disease, that we were doing one of the activities that if you were trying to design a super spreader, let's get 100 people and put them in a hall and switch who they're dancing with every 10 or 15 seconds. We knew it was going to be a long time. And it is such a credit to the community that things like the 5 things, the Odd Sundays dance, symmetry, and all the amazing things that have allowed our community, while we're missing some of the wonderful parts about the space to move and touch and face-to-face conversation. At the same time, here we are, you're in California, I'm in Missouri, and I suspect there's people from all around the country and maybe even all around the world. I know, at Symmetry, we're regularly from England to Seattle. It is, to me, the question is, it's one of the most biggest things I got out of my dance, especially since I was an adult. It was the fun of it when I was a child, when I was 7 there and just starting and had my first crush and all of those things.
So, Bob, let's put up the thing one sign? Because I think you're
Oh.
starting to ease into it. I want to make
believe
sure
I am, yes.
Yeah. All right. Thing number one, sense of community.
Sense of
course.
community. Yeah, I put that at pretty much the top of my priority list now when it comes to dance. I think in many ways this activity for a lot of us has supplemented or taken the place of what, say, for instance, the church community used to do in many places, where people support systems. You know, we house and feed and take care of each other outside the dance floor sometimes when things go wrong. I know most of the times when I've needed help moving or that, it's people in my dance community. We have potlucks, we do holidays. Backing up Thanksgiving is when we do here at our house. And so with that, yeah, I mean, I came to Missouri to go to, this will surprise a lot of people. I came to Missouri to go to seminary. What won't surprise anybody is that it didn't last very long. It was clearly a case where my karma ran over my dogma. And we're talking the late 1960s, early 1970s there. But I found this other thing, both the community, those were the hippie days. I was working for an establishment called the Ecstatic Umbrella that was sort of a hippie hospital. We did drug rescue and a bunch of things. And I started a communiversity. They started up a communiversity. The university sponsored community people teaching classes that were free or very minimal charge. And I started an international folk dance class in Kansas City. And to my horror, I had 175 people show up for the first class. And we were just barely inside the fire regulation for the room. And so I learned a lot. We all look for ways to expand our communities, especially the folks who feel that sense. I mean, one of the things that I have to remind myself is it's definitely okay for somebody who wants to come, dance, go home, and that's their connection with dance. And that's certainly great for them. And that should be something we want to promote and include just as well as the people who run sound and sweep the floors and organize potlucks and do all the other things that we find ourselves doing. But the idea of paying forward is really important. And you have an example there in Los Angeles that's quite telling. At one time, there were 7 coffee houses, at least 7 that I knew of, where you could dance anywhere from 5 to 7 nights a week. And in less than a decade, that entire scene disappeared, went to zero. And it happened with one generation or one group that didn't pay forward. They got all about the excellence of dancing. In fact, what happened is they got so snobby that they wouldn't dance with the peons at the coffee house who weren't using authentic styling and we hear such things sometimes in our contra and English dances, don't we? And it makes me shudder. I mean, it's interesting because, you know, we do want to be able to strive for excellence. And we also want to strive for inclusion. And to me, one of the things is finding a way to uh, encourage both. And certainly how you suggest and promote excellence has a lot to do, just the tone of it. I mean, we've got some of our leaders, people like, I'm thinking Joanna, Bruce, they have a way of making those hints of here. You know, one of the ones that kills me is when somebody from the floor yells, "Stop shuffling." And it's like, whoa. I mean, that just, the shuffling doesn't bother me anywhere near as much as that interruption. And the fact that, you know, every new dancer in the room is going, you know, whereas little hints, you know, if, you know, it's one of those things, if it bothers you, say something to the caller so they can say, one of the things that sometimes you might find it enjoyable if you lift your feet and sit down, you can present those things. I don't remember exactly how it, Joanna has a spectacular way of encouraging the improvement. Bruce, Joseph does it with his humor, or gets Fred to demonstrate. The other one that I've seen that causes our group some trouble in community sometime is, I think, what's known as founder syndrome. Somebody started a group or took over control of a group early, and they're quite certain their way is the only way, and they don't share or pass on the leadership. And that's, I think that's one of the things that can really, you see the groups that are really vibrant, and just take a look at what you guys are doing here. You've got multiple people involved in your organization. Some are taking specific roles due to specific talents. Like, you figure out, what can I do to contribute? Like in my case, okay, I can't play an instrument, but I can make a pretty good spreadsheet, and I could learn how to do sound, and I could learn how to call. And then for the larger community, I seem to have some skill at writing dances. A few of them have worked out pretty well. And so I bring that. And of course, music I solve by marrying well. How do we encourage visitors to come join our merry band? Martha and I spent a lot of time thinking about that. One of the ones we did here in St. Louis were the flash dances, where we just showed up someplace in public and started dancing. And it was, yeah, there we go. That's at the Missouri Botanical Garden. Fabulous, fabulous set of gardens that one of our dancers was able to make arrangements a couple of times a year for us to go in and dance our way through the botanical gardens. Roses and glass artwork and all kinds of amazing things. A tea garden. The guards 1 year, I maybe shouldn't tell this, but I'm going to. 1 year, they have this special sort of hothouse indoor garden thing where the high rollers are taken. The 6-figure contributors go to have dinners and special events, and the guards let us in there and took great glee in us waltzing and doing contra and English country dance in the hollowed halls of the Missouri Botanical Garden. But one of the things is as you get people at a dance, remembering to encourage everyone to ask them to dance. One of the things I'm proudest of in our St. Louis community is a newcomer has a hard time sitting in the first half. In fact, we teach them, I said, if you really don't want to dance, you say, my knee. You have two of them. You don't actually have to tell them what's wrong. You just say my knee and everybody will go, oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's my back or my neck. Yeah, so I get it. But you say my knee and then you don't have to dance. But otherwise you will be asked. Holding special events, like we get people in from other communities, so we get other ideas and meeting new people, holding dance festivals, weekends. We have two here in St. Louis. High tea. Yeah, that was interesting. That dance was originally called High Tea and Whiskey. It was an English-American weekend. But one of the ladies, 3 years into it, found one of our flyers from the hall that we rent and was aghast that any whiskey business was going on in their dance hall. And so they insisted that we change the name. So originally we changed it to High Tea and Sarsaparilla. But it was getting to the point, we already had a contra dance weekend. And those first years, the contra dance portion made it financially viable. It drew enough of the local dancers that it made the weekend break even or a little better. But by that fourth year, by the time we got there, the English part was really what was driving the weekend. So we decided we've got a contra weekend. Let's go ahead and make this an all English weekend, and haven't looked back since. We grabbed Labor Day and Memorial Day. Our original one is Memorial Day. There have been over 50 some what was originally called Kimswick, now called Meet Me in St. Louis. Obvious reasons. We got a wonderful community center that we're able to rent and do that, but it draws a lot of people from the Midwest. Unfortunately, we don't get too many from the West Coast. You've got a little thing down there called Northwest Folklife Festival that draws a couple of people. Yeah, for a while it was great. The state park would only give us the hall guarantee us every other year for Memorial Day. So every other year, my daughter was doing her residency at Swedish Cherry Hill in Seattle. So killing two birds with one stone, we could go out and go to Folklife and see my daughter, and that was pretty cool. And traveling yourself, done a lot of that. One of the things I've seemed to have, bad habit I've had of developing tours. We've done 3 of them, 3 big ones and a couple of small ones. Where we find some musicians and we hit the road. Of course, a lot of you are aware of the Ladies in Play. Well, we did 2 tours with them, and then Martha hooked up with several bands, Hot Coffee Breakdown and her old friends from String Dancer down in the Southeast, and then George Paul out on the East, in the Southeast. And so we got to meet a whole lot of people altogether, we were on the road in those three things for 56 days, and we had exactly one motel bill of $63. And that's part of that community, is getting to know one of the people. I see Howard Carlberg. They put us up we got to celebrate Christmas with them, and the end of the last tour out to Washington. Fabulous. He's got that wonderful dance hall in his house, and I'm not jealous. And you get a chance, when you go to dance weekends, you also get a chance to see how other people do things. One I remember early on, this was a contra example. My daughter organized a tour to Dallas. She found Vanguard Airlines at that time had $50 and you could bring a person for free. So two people could fly round trip to Dallas for $50. And she got a group of about 30 contra dancers from St. Louis. But when we got there, it was a wild asparagus dance weekend. So the band was pretty good. And the local dancers all stood at the door and waited and made sure every new dancer had a partner as soon as they were ready when they came in. And the whole thing was organized in that way. They had maps to everything, and the local folks, there was some of that good Southern hospitality you hear about, and it's like, boy, there's one we made note of. Yeah, because one of the ways we pay back up until COVID hit this year, the last 3 years, Martha and I have had averaged well over 100 different people a year stay with us. Almost all dancers. Making the dance joyous. Somebody needs to give me a sign.
Hang on there. No. Let's show that great video, okay, that you wanted to get in here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, let's show that great video before we move on to thing number 2.
Yeah.
That was such a great idea to do that video. I love it.
That was a spontaneous thing. Yeah, that bridge, by the way, is dedicated to my brother-in-law who passed away. In fact, we'll be out to California for their memorial service for he and my sister here in June or July. But yeah, that bridge was dedicated to him. He was an avid cyclist, and that cycling bridge was named after him. That's the Mike Harding Bridge. And just in case you want to organize one of those tours, let's go ahead and show that other one. And this is the simple version after the tour is already set up. It doesn't have all the what ifs on it, but those are all, you essentially have to answer every one of those questions. And part of what makes it particularly challenging, different bookers have different needs. For instance, some book 2 weeks ahead, some book for the following year ahead. And so trying to get coordinating dates where you can see we did pretty well there at a couple of dates. We had 2 dances in one day.
Wow.
So,
Bob, we're going to talk about your upcoming plans for touring and things like that in the after talk, because we've had some
Yes.
people asking and we definitely want to learn more about
All right.
that. But for now,
Moving
let's jump
on.
into thing number 2, making the dancing joyous. Really, it should be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, we can keep this one short. Smile when you dance. My goodness. But particularly if you take up the challenge of calling or being an organizer, being upbeat, really projecting the amount of fun you're having. Hopefully, it should come fairly naturally. But sometimes I think we do get a little too serious. And you know, for me, I do have to kind of have the opposite problem. I tend to be a little bit of a sea otter and let the joking overtake the task at hand. And no, it's one of the kind of things, like for instance, when I write a dance, obviously I make a lot of use of wordplay and fun ideas, but that still doesn't relieve the responsibility of it being a good dance. I mean, my thinking is any dance with even one bad transition belongs in the trash, because there are so many good dances out there. You know, it's not like we absolutely really need any more, but it's fun to do new approaches and new things. So I think there's room for new dances, but they really should be good, or they should be laid to rest. Yeah, I had to take advantage of that. My last job, when they were in need of a supervisor, and I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and of course, I could sense there was some concern about my hail fellow, well met, but I explained to them that people do make that mistake, but they usually only make it once if they're working for me. That
I know that one was short, and the next one is long. So
yeah.
I think
Here we go.
Right,
We may
here
have
we
to cut it
go.
up. Yeah.
Thing number 3, creating opportunities.
Well, there's several pieces to what we do. One is music, and I'll make that one real short. I already told you I married well. More than that, the teamwork, to have a partner that we duke it out sometimes, but most of the time we're pretty close to being on the same page. And I mean, you know, she's let me drag her all around the country. And the only thing I want to say about music is my musical education was virtually nil. I can't sing. I can hold a tune in Bulgarian folk songs for some reason. No other time. It's really weird. And I can hear that I'm off, but I can't make my voice fix it. But then I decided I was going to be an English caller after this contra business. And then the stark terror hit me with the first program. Oh my God, they're letting me pick the music for the band. What fool let this happen? Why don't you tell me what dances I should call? I have to know what key it's in and what meter? Really? Yeah, when I got the first serious one is English, I was very blessed to get into Joseph Pimentel's CDSS calling class. And when he sent out his requirements and the various things, it was like, I was in absolute panic. I got over it, or at least a little of it. Dances. I think we've got something here for us. that was Dance Discovery, our little historical dance group here in St. Louis. Yeah, that's one of the ways. I'm probably just going to have to read this because I'll mess it up. In terms of spreading the word for dancing, Child Grove, of course, does a fabulous job. They've got a wonderful website. Martha's the webmaster for that. So there's another place that comes in a little bit later. But we have waltz parties, calling parties, ECD, Caller's Choice, Family Dance, Plain and Fancy, ECD, Arch Homeschool Class, Dance Discovery, and Flash Dances. Bad habit of starting dance series. So far, I think we've done a pretty good job of avoiding founder syndrome. We've gotten the community involvement. Of course, Child Grove was started long before us, and Dance Discovery was, I don't know if some of you may have known the tall gentleman in the Spanish hat was John Ramsey. Obviously well known among CDSS, one of the recipients of the Contributors Award. And he and Chrissy Howell, who's now out there in the Bay Area, started Dance Discovery for the Lewis and Clark expeditions and people wanting to see what the dancing of the period. And then we stretched out from everything from the Civil War to Revolutionary War, up pretty much not much past the end of the Civil War, the post-Civil War period. The Caller's Choice dances was an interesting bit to talk about. We got started in English. I went to an English dance at the encouragement of Pam Carson Stoll now, saying that, oh, the way you dance, you would love English. Well, I went to a dance, and to say that I didn't love it would be an understatement. I'll just say this, we did 5 dances in 2.5 hours. And I even went back a second time and it wasn't much better. And I said, I couldn't see it. Well, fast forward a couple of years, we're at a Contra Dance weekend. Joseph Pimentel is calling for the Contra Dance. And the bands were the Groove Mongers and String Dancers. Well, the next thing you know, they've cooked up an English workshop in the afternoon with the String Monger Orchestra. I mean, you had 3 amazing fiddles. You had Pam and Martha and Rebecca McCallum and Jane Kinect on keyboard and CW on mandolin, and Joseph's teaching, you know, one walkthrough with contra dancers. They were good contra dancers. I mean, this was sort of a high-end weekend in the Midwest, but phenomenal dancing. And we just went, well, there were like 50 people in the room when they said English. Everybody went, oh yeah, they went from 200 to 50. Well, people heard the music and saw us dancing, and there were 150 contra dancers doing English before that period was over. So the bridge is crossable. And educate the Dance Discovery, and I do a homeschool class with Arch, a group of Catholic homeschoolers that are 4 to 14-year-olds. And we continued it in Zoom for 1 semester. Unfortunately, I had they decided I needed a new heart valve. So I had to take 1 semester off to get repairs. And plain and fancy. There was an idea of we were thinking about how do you combine the need. First of all, we needed a place for the English callers that we were developing from the calling parties. to get a chance to get some reps in to call. So we started a dance and contra dancers. So we had these dances where you'd call one or two dances, depending on how many callers showed up. You might call half a program. You might call one dance, and it was called Caller's Choice. Well, it went pretty good for a while, but then the contra dancers stopped coming because they might have to do an English dance, and English dancers stopped coming because they might have to do a contra dance. And we went, So we broke it off. We made that a contra dance. And then we started this plain and fancy dance, which the first half is plain. It's Child Grove, it's Good Man of Ballingy, Yellow Stockings. It's basic dances designed to teach the basic moves so newcomers can come. We take a little break and then we come back and it's no holds barred after that. And we got good. Let's see. Calling, all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you to the people who pay forward. Our great callers, especially in the English community, are just awesome at sharing their time and skills. I mean, workshops from, Lisa Greenleaf and Joseph Pimentel, Bruce Hamilton, Seth Tepler, Joanna Reiner Wilkelson, Scott Higgs, Sharon Green. I'm sorry Sharon can't be with us here tonight, but she's celebrating her 60th wedding anniversary. I think she and David were planning on going skinny dipping in the bay or something. Maybe not. And I've run over time here a little bit, so let's move on to choreography, as one thing leads to another. We had those calling parties. All of a sudden, you had a room full of live salt and pepper shakers. You now have experienced dancers and things, and so people started writing dances. And that right there is a piece of our floor that's a coaster. I also have placemats. We eat off the floor now, but because there were over 500 dances held on our floor and the tiles finally were following us across the room and we had to replace the floor, but I made them into those things. But there's a list, I think that's going to be in the afternotes there, that where, let's see, did we get that? Oh, did I forget to get the video of I did. The list. There's 234 dances that we could confirm were vetted on their first dancing on that floor. And of course, the real debt the community has is the 100 or 200 that you never saw that wound up on the cutting room floor rather than thing. But let's move on. Some of the different approaches. I mean, I have a strange mind. My mother was an inveterate punster, could do it in 8 languages. Thank God I'm stuck to just one. But one of the things, in fact, my very first English dance, the pun wrote the dance. The castigated neighbor. And if you look at the dance notes there, the first move is ones cast while the twos move up, all clover leaf, twos gate the ones. Twos cast, etc. ones gate the twos. Half the dance is written with the cast to gated neighbor. And it turned out to be a pretty nice dance and survived. It's a wonderful George Paul tune, March of the Lost Boys. It was written for about the Lost Boys of Sudan. Similarly, we have Mr. Maggot's Beverage. Now there we have the obvious play on the play on words wasn't originally mine. There was a discussion about, interestingly enough, about hand sanitizers. This was long before COVID. And somebody suggested, we should just pour vodka over our hands. And one of the nurses pointed out that no, the alcohol level was not high enough to kill the germs. It would have to be like a 151 rum or a mezcal or something. And somebody typed in, oh, that would be Mr. Maggot's Beverage. And so here it is. You may recognize the tune.
Ones cross and cast, twos half gypsy up. Back to back, everyone back to back. Twos cross and cast. All back to back. First corners. Second corners. All set and turn. Twos, half figure eight down. Ones, half figure eight up.
And of course, no need for hand sanitizers there because you touch no one. It was limited to moves with no contact. Tune, of course, is Chuck Rio's Tequila. All right. Mr. Darcy's. It was on our tour. It was on our tour out west. Our first stop was Albuquerque, and a couple of weeks before, we still didn't know what kind of a dance we were doing. All the dance communities in Albuquerque wanted the ladies. And so I got a call from the organizer, or actually it was an email, saying, hey, could you plan us an evening with international and English and contra and waltz, and we'd like to do some hambos at the break. And I said, sure. And so to commemorate this, Mr. Darcy's Folk Mads Colo and Contra Medley was born, as well as a program with all of those different pieces. So first of all, the tunes were two Jonathan Jensen tunes. The lady's been working a lot with Jonathan, and they have an international flavor to them, a Ramabad Rag and Paprika Waltz. So you look at the A1, you have Mad Robin and Poussette, pretty much out of English. Basket Swing, pretty much out of international. The rest of the moves, certainly B1, definitely out of contra, and B2 could be contra, could be English. We did the dance, the last dance of the half, and the instructions were find a partner for a waltz and line up for a contra. Go ahead and show the video, Linz, and they can see what happens from there. And if you ever get a chance to dance in Albuquerque, you must. What a wonderful community. First of all, if you notice, nobody was sitting down. Everybody was doing everybody else's dance form, and the whole evening was just absolutely amazing. I was like, oh, Martha and I have toyed with Albuquerque might not be a bad place to wind up someday. Let's see. Waves of Grain. That one was written in the traditional way. Martha wrote the tune for her son's wedding, which had a wheat theme, and so the tune is wheat, and then I put the dance to it after the music. And then one in a less traditional way, Pacheco Pass.
Sorry to cut in. Did you want to tell the story before we show the dance?
Yeah, let me say, yeah, I think it probably would be good. This was when we were driving from Los Angeles, or from the Bay Area to Los Angeles, one of the last legs of the tour. I was sitting in the back seat making guacamole from the avocados we bought in the thing, and the ladies said, you know, we haven't done any 3/2 tunes. Let's write one. And so they composed this tune jointly while we drove down the Central Valley, and they get it done, and they actually recorded it a couple of times through and said, okay, Bob, write us a dance. And so we, you know, it was all about the windy road down and coming out. And then, of course, there's the windy road at the other end going over the Grapevine, not quite as windy. But we stopped at a gas station in Castaic Junction as we were up on the Grapevine. And while we were getting gas afterwards with Four Ghosts, we vetted the dance. It unfortunately had a flaw. We weren't able to dance it that night in Los Angeles, but shortly thereafter. It's also in Barnes I wrote it on the Grapevine. That's totally my fault. I should have never breathed that to Kate, that I had that temptation to name it that, but that's how it happened. That Pacheco Pass is in fact the name of the tune and the dance, but it's in Barnes under Wrote It on the Grapevine. All right. And here's the windy road.
Right shoulder hand open, fall back. Right shoulder grabs and levels. And space to them, there we go.
right.
Yeah, that was great. Great dances. Bob has promised me thing number 4 and 5 are short. So let's see if we get through them
Yeah.
without being too much overtime. I think we will.
I think we can do it. All right.
Thing number 4, creating a history, leaving breadcrumbs.
Yes. How do we, one of the things for helping keeping a community strong is leaving a history that others can pick up and learn from. The two contributions I've tried to make there, one is the dance video archive. Most of you have run across some pieces of that. You know, it was designed both for callers to see how dances work, for dancers to learn, or in some cases to be entertained, to just see, oh, that was the dance I was at, and so on. I want to mention that that's a whole lot more complicated than it looks. And it has to do with vetting the videos. Not only trying to pick ones that are fairly representative of the dance, and that's where the community is helpful in terms of giving feedback as to how good a representative a particular dance is, but also the other considerations. The talent. You can make the best band in the world sound like crap in a gym with a cell phone. A piece that sounds great to you when you're dancing, but there's just a mistake that one or more of the musicians is just dreadful. It's just a second. When you're dancing, those things pass. When it's ephemeral, you don't even notice that. As soon as you codify it, it's like fingers down to chalkboard to them. And you know, some dance organizer hears it and says, oh God, I'm not going to hire them for our weekend. You know, I saw this video and they played out a tune, you know. Children getting permissions. If there's kids in the room, you got to have a whole extra level of concern. That's why even with all our family dances and other things, you will see very, very few videos posted, simply because getting those permissions is very difficult to be thorough. And you get the unintended captures. Person sitting right under the camera, not realizing it. God, that collar sucks. People ask about my retirement. Some of those outtakes are my retirement plan. Be careful what you say at a dance. Since you've never seen any of those, I worked in the mental health business for 48 years, so I understand the concerns there. All right. Publishing. First of all, thank you to all the greats. The Barnes Collection, Boston Center Series, Calculated Figures, Brooke and Chris's works, Fried Demetz Herman. I mean, we are so lucky that such a treasure trove of stuff has been left for us. I made a couple of runs at it, so I know how hard. We did Mo dances. Which the one was in book form, the other, and unfortunately I didn't get it in one of the, have it in the folders. It was in a 7-lane card index, so you could flip it. You could literally use it to call from, throw the books. And then the CD is videos of every dance that's in the book, so you could see how it works. Not horribly professionally done, but served its purpose. Spreading the word.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
that's right. That's across the line. Smack me.
Okay, here we go. Thing Thing number 5, spread the word, making the dancing interesting and accessible.
Yep. One of the tools, one of the great tools that we have, of course, is social media. It's allowed, I mean, it's provided our survival here during this COVID operation with the Zoom dances and things like the 5 Things lectures. It gives you a chance to think. There's that wonderful social distance, wonderful site on Facebook with some great creative stuff and lots of good discussions and wonderful. I made my contribution there. Somebody asked, what's your favorite rendition of Levi Jackson Rag? And it inspired me to this. The Lego Jackson Rag. That's a great, that recording of the tune is a great room out of, it's another one out of Berea, the McLean Family Band. And I think that's pretty much got us there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing how fast the time flies, but that was a lot of fun. And I have like a list of questions to ask you in the after talk, and I know there are others. So we're looking forward to getting to that. I'm going to try to buzz through the end stuff as quickly as possible. We are going to post announcements for Bob Green now. We will also put them in the Dropbox, which will have the chat for this web chat in there, so you can get those from that. Bob, what's your favorite dance? We have to ask you.
Oh, Dance with Me. Dance with Me.
And we're going to hear that story in the after talk.
Yeah, you'll get the backstory in the.
Yeah, beautiful tune. It opened the show, and a great dance. And really quickly, are you a tea drinker? What's your favorite? Because I know there's an answer to this.
Intensity. It's a real product. I make it myself.
Oh, wow. That's great. Cool. All right. We will maybe post that recipe in the Dropbox as well. So let me move quickly on to thank yous. Thank you so much, Bob, for coming on. It's been really fun getting to know you and talking to you this week. We get the bonus of getting a little extra time with you during the tech rehearsals, and that was great. Thank you to our 5 Things team, Lindsay Verbal in the background, Reed Wilson on Zoom, Larry Hanson on Facebook, along with our helpers, Kara King, Dan Vilter, and Adele Nichols. You can watch our past 5 Things web chats on our website, historicalteandance.org/Colin/. Thank you, Colin, for keeping up that good work. We have been on since March 2020, the beginning of the pandemic. There are a lot of web chats there that you can catch up on. You can also watch them on our Facebook main page or on our YouTube channel. The after talks are not publicly available. However, you may request a link to the after talk by emailing us, and we're going to post that. Big thank you to everyone who's been donating to our group. We really appreciate it. There are operational expenses and you have helped make this happen. We are posting the After Talk link right now. And I mentioned the Dropbox. Yes, indeed. We will be putting things up in the Dropbox. Coming next week, Tuesday, June 8th, we have Val Medby. Yay. Can't wait to talk to her. We're just going to post that so you can read about her if you don't know her. And this month, we are having a third Saturday 5 Things web chat in June. It's in conjunction with Heyday's Dance Camp. Alex Humming is coming to speak with us. The registration is now open, so we're posting the link. This Sunday, we have something really special. We are doing our final online tea social celebration. It's the Billy Tea. Why didn't we think of this before? We have our friends from Australia joining us. And now I'm wishing we had done it all through the year. We could have gotten people from all over the world doing our tea socials for us. Anyways, should come join the fun. Heather Clark and friends. Oh, it's going to be great. A lot of Australian dancing, a lot of photos and information about dancing in Australia, et cetera, et cetera. If you ever have met them, you know how much fun they are. So you want to make sure you join that. We are still doing another month of tea time on Thursday, so join us for that. However, you probably have been expecting this to come. Announcement from 5 Things. June will be our finale of the weekly version of 5 Things inside the Dancing Mind of web chat. You knew it had to come eventually. We really love getting to know everyone, and there are so many more of you to learn from and spend time with. We really hope to find a way to continue this on a monthly basis. So please stay tuned. Please join us for our finally weekly web chats every Tuesday in June. And with luck, our Tuesday night dance classes and everyone's will start again in July. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's been a long time. The donations, Bob recommends that you donate to the Country Dance and Song Society or to the Historical Tea and Dance Society. Thank you, Bob. And our closing tune is that gorgeous tune, Wheat, by Martha Edwards, The Dance Waves of Grain, and we're posting a link for that. We will see you all in the afternoon. I got muted.